Okay, before we get started, there's certain things I need to state before this review. One, two matches I did not have a chance to fully see. The Eddie Edwards and Killer Kross First Blood match, I saw part of it. I didn't see the ending. And RVD with Moose, I didn't see at all. The streams all went down for 30 straight minutes. Didn't see nothing. Now, I know I could wait until tomorrow morning and catch a replay, but I thought I pretty much have an idea what might be the ending of each match, so I'm going to give my impressions of what might happen. Of course, it doesn't mean it will happen, but I'll give my impressions and what I believe will really benefit or not benefit. Now, I really didn't have high hopes for this pay-per-view, particularly what happened Friday and Saturday. Look, you guys know how I felt Friday. I was angry at the ending of the show. It ruined it for me. And then I looked at Deep Impact on Saturday on Twitch. Oh my gosh. You guys know how I feel about reality of wrestling. Booker T's promotion, I want to do reviews on it. But the one thing is killing me is that the camera work for those guys there is so horrid. How... Let me put this in perspective before I get with this pay-per-view really quickly. How can people who pay Booker T to train at his, well, not even a real promotion, it's a developmental. How can you actually train there and not be able to watch your work in video recording where the damn cameramen are so bad? I don't understand why Booker T doesn't say to the cameramen, do a freaking proper job. I'm getting money from these freaking people and I'm trying to get a TV deal. I'm sure he's trying to get some TV. I'm sure of it. He's doing local television. He's got to get a TV deal or something sooner or later if he tries. So you would expect him to have better camera work. This, along with Friday, definitely turned me off for this Impact Wrestling pay-per-view of Slammiversary. I really have to try and stay calm because those 2 days angered me so bad. Now, objectively, how was the show, even though I didn't see two matches completely, one match completely, the other one I didn't see at all? It was a good show. I will say for anyone who wants to watch it, you will be entertained. Now, is it a great show? No, the pay-per-view wasn't perfect. It wasn't great. But it was good enough that you could say, well, I enjoyed it. Let's go to the first match, which was the TJ Perkins Open X Division Challenge. Why were there 4 guys in the Open Challenge? Why did it turn into a fatal 4-way? And then, there was no... This is the thing that gets me. You got 4 guys who's opening the show in an Open Challenge. Why couldn't you make this something special? That for TJ Perkins Open Challenge, the gift of having this Open Challenge is that whoever wins gets the next title shot against the X Division champion. That would actually be good, particularly at the end. Look, the match was good. You got Willie Mack, you got TJ Perkins, you had, who was the other person? Jake Chris, and it was Trey, because he got kicked out by the other members of the Rascals because they were going to go for the tag title match and they had to do something, and that would have made it more better sense. I wish they had done this like I say it. Have a fatal 4-way for the, instead of a Open Challenge, say it's a fatal 4-way for an X Division shot after Slammiversary. I think it would have been better for the Rascals because then these guys could have said, well, whoever wins this match goes to this fatal 4-way to get an X Division shot. The other 2 will go and get the shot at the triple threat of the Impact Tag Team Championships. I think that would have been better, but no, they didn't. Was the match with these 4 guys good? Yes, it was good. You can honestly say it's a great match. Willie Mack won it, and I think that was kind of a surprise because I would have thought TJ Perkins should have won it and should have gotten the prize at the end of it. I think that would have been better for TJ Perkins. But Willie Mack won it, but then it really didn't mean much because nothing was at stake. It was just a standard fatal 4-way match to open the show that tried to at least get the people's lips, wet their lips, as they say. Make them a little appetizer, as you will. Next, you had the Rascals versus LAX versus the North. Now, I got a real pet peeve here. Why did the North win the titles at Bash at the Brewery? Now, I didn't see it. I've forgotten all about that show. So, I did not see Bash at the Brewery. And the kicker for me is this. You wanted to save this for Slammiversary. A fatal, well, not a fatal four-way, a triple threat. Why couldn't you have the Rascals face the North wins against the Rascals, and then you make a triple threat? At least then it would have made better sense. And then the North could have won the titles there. But no, you had to Bash at the Brewery, which made no sense. Just because Conan wasn't there doesn't make it any better. To try and justify it, really, they should never drop the titles. Now, was the match good? Yes, it was actually pretty damn good. And then we had a surprise, and not a good one. Near the end of the match, Santana got pushed off the top ring turnbuckle by Josh Alexander, and it seems that he landed really badly, and he might have popped out his knee or blown his knee. I think the way he was acting, he might have blown out his knee. And in the end, the North managed to retain, but honestly, this could have been done at the pay-per-view. Why did they have to retain here when they could have won here? And I'm talking about the North. To be honest, and I want to make this clear, I actually like the North. I like Josh Alexander. I like Ethan Page. But I'd rather seen Killer Kross and Moose go up against LAX and defeat them. Because this is the thing that many people are not talking about. You got medium-sized guys going against medium-sized guys, going up against smaller guys, and going up against medium-sized guys. Sometimes you need to change it up and put some big guys in it to give the small and medium guys something to strive for. Sometimes. I'm not saying every single time. Just sometimes. And I really believe Killer Kross and Moose would fit the bill, but they never did. Now, Eddie Edwards versus Killer Kross in the First Blood match. Now, since, as I said in the beginning of this review, I wasn't able to see the entire match, so I don't know who won it. I'm going to see if I can see a replay to find out later after I edit this and upload it. But this is my guess. Because of how this feud has been going, my guess is that Killer Kross, and understand, Killer Kross went in painted. He had paint on his face, which was a very funny sign to me personally. It made no sense for him to come out in face paint. He's never wore face paint before. So, seeing him in this situation made a red flag for me personally. Like they were setting something up for Eddie Edwards to be able to bleed him out much easier than he needed to be. So I saw some of the match, and then the stream dropped once Killer Kross got hit in the face by Eddie Edwards. So I believe that Eddie probably won the match. That's what I believe. But that does not mean the match ends the feud, because I do believe that if Eddie Edwards does win the match, Killer Kross is not going to end it, because Killer Kross is going to try to continue the feud. Now, let's say that Killer Kross does win the match. He'll probably rub it into Eddie Edwards' face and try to get him to see that he is the one that can give him absolution, redemption in some way. That's the way I feel it right now. My guess is Killer Kross jobbed. Now, Moose versus RVD, the match I did not see at all. I have no idea how this would have gone, but I'm taking a guess that Moose would have done the heavy lifting of the match. There's no way that RVD would do the entire heavy lifting of the match. He's just, not that he can't perform well. He is an older wrestler. And you can see sometimes his weakness when he gets tanked a little too quickly. He doesn't get the same endurance like he did before. But that doesn't mean he still isn't a great wrestler. I want to make this clear. I'm still an RVD fan. I still like him. Excuse me. And I can tell you, he could still go in the ring. It's just that he can't go very long. He's probably lost about 20% of his stamina. Let's be honest. He probably lost about 20% out of 100%. So he's not going to be able to stretch it very far. and Moose is probably going to be the one who's going to supplement for him. And my guess is Moose is going to win this. I'll be very surprised if Moose jobs here. And I really do believe if Moose does job or doesn't job, the feud won't be over. But my guess is Moose will not job here. He will succeed. Now, Monsters Ball match. Oof. This match was a damn good match. You got Havoc, Su Yung, Rosemary, and Taya Valkyrie. Miss Boobies herself. Well, I can't say Miss Boobies herself because Havoc was showing a lot of cleavage too. Pretty much almost every woman but Su Yung was showing huge amounts of boobs. And that's not a bad thing, and it's not a good thing. Counting if you're a man or a woman or both. Well, I'm not saying you're both man and a woman. I'm just saying that both sexes will find something they like. Both sexes like boobs. So they're going to see boobs. Was the match good? Yes, it was. The only weakest person there, and the weakest person was, unfortunately, Rosemary. She seemed to be the most slowest one there. And Rosemary used to be a very fast wrestler. I'm not saying that she was incredibly agile. No. But when she did her ring work, she was fast enough that she made it look at least crisp to a certain extent. She made it look like it was believable. Now, Rosemary doesn't look believable anymore. She looks very slow. She looks very sluggish. She doesn't have a crispness to her match anymore. Su Yung looked fine. Havoc looked alright. And Taya Valkyrie basically not only won the match, repeated how good of a wrestler she was to adapt. Because Havoc looked like she can do that type of match all day. And after a little exchange between Su Yung and Havoc, where Su Yung got so pissed off she couldn't stand it anymore and tried to put the mandible claw down the throat of a Havoc, you have Taya Valkyrie winning. Of course, because of some thumbtacks put in the ring by a Rosemary who seemed to be doing the Abyss stuff now. She seemed to be the new Abyss. That's what it looks like. Rosemary looks like Abyss now. So I'm sure Monsters Ball is now her particular match. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to see that for Rosemary. Rosemary having associated herself with Monsters Ball does not mean it's going to be better. I'm just being honest. Let's move on to the most high-flying match of the night, and that's Johnny Evil versus Rich Swann. And this match was funny. It was good. It was high-flying. It was fast-paced. And I did enjoy it the most out of all the other matches. Not saying that the other matches were bad. It was that you got Johnny Evil, who is known to be a very good parkour wrestler. He knows parkour. He knows wrestling. He's a parkour wrestler. Then you got Rich Swann, who's a very high-fly wrestler. You got these two in a dynamic with Johnny Bravo. Oh, I'm a Johnny Bravo, and I just love my job kissing Johnny Evil's abs. And I'm sure I got Johnny Bravo in my face. I don't know which Johnny Bravo, either the cartoon Johnny Bravo or the actual Johnny Bravo. I don't know which one it's going to be, but in the end, he was entertaining. He wasn't incredibly funny, but he was entertaining to a certain extent. In the end, Rich Swann won this, but then it kind of leads back to what I said in the beginning of this review when it came to the Fatal 4-Way with the X Division guys in the TJ Perkins Open Challenge. They should have been for the next shot. I'm being honest here. The next title shot should have been set up for someone, and that Willie Mack be the next person to deal with it. It would make sense. But since they didn't do this, it kind of felt a little empty because we don't know who's coming next unless Johnny Evil's going to try again, which he probably will. But then it will make no sense. Honestly, it just feels empty. And I gotta say, Johnny Evil is just funny. I'm enjoying Johnny Evil being a heel. I never liked him as a face much. He was boring. Here's a heel. At one point, unfortunately, I don't have that scene. I don't think I can catch it. He put Rich Swann onto the ring top rope. and then just dragged his nuts against it. Now, I know I can say what Johnny Bravo did by throwing some tacks into the ring that was left over from Rosemary stuff. I actually did. What am I saying? I just did it. Look, let's be honest here. Johnny Evil as an evil bad guy, I like it. I just wish they showed more of him. Now here's the match that was very long, very high impact, and high flying. And it's with two very big guys. And that's you got Cage versus Elgin. Very high flying, very high impact match. It lasted a long time. And I thought the Rick Swann and the Johnny Evil match was long. This felt longer. And it wasn't badly done at all. I did enjoy the match. The only reason I liked the Johnny Evil and the Rick Swann a little bit better wasn't because it wasn't as high impact. It just felt like it flowed better. Now these guys flowed well for two very large guys. With Johnny Evil and Rick Swann, you got a bigger guy in the Johnny Evil versus a smaller guy in the Rick Swann. That's the reason why I like the dynamic a little better. You got two big ass guys jumping around like cruiserweights, beating the crap out of each other. And in the end, and I'm sure I've been scrolling at least a few images, you got Brian Cage winning, but then Michael Elgin gets so pissed off, he grabs the title, hits the... I gotta say this. I don't know why they're adding Don Callis into this situation, except to think that this has got to be an ECW thing, because he did work in ECW. Because after Mike Elgin beats the crap out of a Brian Cage, then throws a Don Callis into the ring, some guy comes in who looks like Rhino because his arms are short, spears him, then runs away. Now, I don't know if Rhino is still working with WWE. It looks like it could be Rhino. I could be wrong, but it does look like Rhino. Honestly, even if it is or isn't, I don't know where they're going with this. Honestly, they don't have any other challenger for Brian Cage, and that's a bad thing. This is the reason why I wanted an Eddie Edwards into the mix. I wanted someone else, maybe a Willie Mack into the mix. I wanted someone else other than what we've been working with. We only got Johnny Evil, we got Mike Elgin, and we got Brian Cage. That's it. 3 guys. There ain't nobody else. Killer Cross is working with Eddie Edwards. Moose is working with RVD, where he shouldn't be working with RVD, because RVD should be working with an X Division guy like a Wiz, like a Trey, like a Dez, like a Ace Austin would make the perfect sense to go up against RVD. Or TJ Perkins for that matter. I want to see him go up against those people, but we get this. So it just seems very disjointed. Finally, the last match of the night. The match I wasn't looking forward to. But I had to watch it because I needed to know how far they were going to go. And this is Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan. I felt he was going to get bitched out. I truly felt that. I felt they were going to bitch his ass out and make her I Am a Woman type of... If you haven't heard that I Am a Woman song, that's how I felt it was going to be. Now, was that included in this match? Yes, it was. At one point in the match, you got... It was... no, let me back up. When you look at the match, objectively, you can see that in the beginning, near the middle of the match, you can see Tessa having to struggle. Yes, she got in some defense. She got some good defense in. But you can see the difference between her and a Sami, where he was basically dominating most of the match. But the problem is when it was time to pin her ass. And at one point, you got the ref getting knocked out by a Tessa Blanchard because of her back elbow. And she went to check up on the ref. And you got Sami whack her in the face with the damn bat. Now that was the major first moment I realized identity politics was being shown here, because that would have laid out a guy easily. It didn't lay her out. And I said, okay, I'll try to give the benefit of the doubt, but it does feel like identity politics. Then more and more moves were thrown together, and she just kept getting up like there was no pain, no problem. And that is where it was showing me that it didn't matter. He was getting punked out. Legitimately. At that moment, I was thinking, they're doing nothing but identity politics. She should not be getting up at that point, looking him dead in the face like he's nothing and wanting to stick the middle finger at him. It just felt like that. But, and I will say but, there's a caveat here. Was this match done well, even with the identity politics in it? Because it was obvious. They were showing that I'm a woman, hear me roar. That's what they were doing. But, and I do say but, did the match flow well? Yes, it did. Did they try to make it so Sammy would put her over without looking bad? Yes, they tried to do it. But because of what's been going on in Impact, it didn't mean anything. I'm sorry. She should have never been given that moment on Friday night where she beat the crap out of both Chris brothers and was standing over Sammy. Because no matter how well it was constructed, and it was constructed not 100% well, I say at least maybe 80% of that match was constructed well with 20% of identity politics. There's no way to deny it. She was saying, I'm a woman, hear me roar, you're nothing compared to me. You're nothing compared to me because I'm Tessa Blanchard. You're nothing compared to me because I'm a woman. Even though she did lose, Sammy, grabbing her bat, because there were now two bats in that situation, he handed her back her bat like saying, you did well, kid. Here, like a passing of the torch. Giving her props. I will say that at least it was tastefully done. And I'm alright with that being tastefully done. But because, and this has to be stated, Impact is notorious for legitimately doing terrible booking before a pay-per-view and then doing really well at the pay-per-view. That's how they've always been, at least for the years I've been watching. But let's be honest here. This time around, for this year, they badly messed up because they went to identity politics. Because of what's going on, and I said this before, they're imitating Hollywood, which is now doing identity politics, saying that women are better than men, that men are idiots, they can't do a damn thing without a woman, and they can't outperform a woman. Even when a woman loses, she still wins, because this is what you get. So when it comes down to it, it was a miss for me. Now, anyone else will probably like it. And I would really, to anyone who's watching this, suggest you see the match for yourself. Don't just go by what I've said. Because I don't want to just give you one just empty point of view. Because I'm sure other people will say the match was great. And they're correct. The match was great for what it was. 80% good matching. 20%, goes my light again, identity politics. Which turned me off. A woman should not be overbooked like that. If she is a face, she should be booked in a certain way. Just like a man. A first-time face, legitimately, should be built up properly. Be getting their ass kicked, and getting the ass kicked, and getting the ass kicked again, and then rise to adversity. She never had that. She never struggled. Look what happened with Disco Inferno. Look what happened now with Sammy. Yes, she got her butt kicked. But then she proved how great of a woman she was. Not a greater as a wrestler or as Tessa Blanchard, Teddy Blanchard's daughter, as a woman. For me personally, that really wasn't good for me. But as objectively, was the show good? Yes, you can enjoy the show. Of course, I don't know what happened with RVD and Moose. My guess Moose won. And I don't know what happened with Eddie Edwards and Killer Cross. Killer Cross probably lost and Eddie won. Probably that's what I think might have happened. But this is my point of view. You guys have a good day. Have a good night. Peace!